Welcome to the Rapport Advantage Podcast, transforming the way leaders communicate. Here's your host, human behavior expert and professional speaker, Alex Swire-Clark.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Casual Friday.
Yes, it is.
And that's kind of appropriate since we're talking about attire today, Liz.
I know. I'm so excited about this.
Yes.
Clothing coming out of our own styles.
That's right. That's right. Normally, I'm not wearing a T-shirt during our podcast, but I am today. One of the few times that you'll see me wearing a T-shirt. I'm headed over to a band function this afternoon after all the little kiddos are done with band camp today, so we're going to be cooking burgers and things like that. So I'm not going to wear a collared golf shirt and get it smelling like burgers and dogs. So, but anywho, welcome to the Rapport Advantage Podcast. We are certainly excited to have you all with us today. If you haven't listened to our podcast before, put the brakes on, stop, drop, and roll, and then take a listen to episodes 2 through 6 of the podcast, because those are going to give you your DISC foundational knowledge that you'll need to make sure you understand when we start talking about high Ds and high Cs and what is a cautious style or inspiring style, you'll have some sort of a clue as to what's going on.
Yes. Because
we all need that if we're going to have a good conversation and actually make these concepts worth your time. And so a little bit of cha-ching there. So assuming that you've already done that, you already know as a longtime veteran listener of our show that we are here to help you break down the walls of miscommunication, increase your emotional intelligence, and build better relationships in the workplace and beyond. Okay, enough of the sound effects. We're moving on. I am Alex Swire-Clark, CEO, speaker, and emotional intelligence expert.
And I'm Liz Parker, certified behavioral analyst. I do job benchmarking and also a strategic growth consultant. How are you today, Alex?
I am doing fantastic. Like I said, it is Casual Friday, and there's all kind of band geeky things going on. I'm a band geek by nature. Played mellophone in college, met my wife in the band, so we're all about band stuff. And it's that time of year for all of us little band people out there. So we're excited. Today's show, speaking of band and all the uniforms that go on with that and the flag corps and all the different dress you have to have, we're talking about identifying styles. This is number 4 in our 4-part series of identifying styles in sales and or just the regular world. So we've talked about vocal patterns, we've talked about desks and decor and all that kind of good stuff. We're talking about attire today, people. What are the folks coming into the office dressed like, and how can you use that to identify what style they are? So we're going to start today talking about the high Ds, as we usually do. We start with our Ds. And our Ds are going to be that classic, in terms of the white-collar environment, that classic power suit, accessories. Look at my ring here. I graduated from Clemson University back in 1993. And I'm a Yale man myself. That kind of thing. And so people are proud of their accomplishments as high Ds. You're going to get that classic power suit. For men, that's going to be nice and clean and crisp. As my son would say, oh, dude, he's dressed to the nines. Yes, so that's the kind of the thing that you look for. So a no frills kind of tie, but really bold color. So just a straight red, straight blue, something that's gives off that kind of impressive feel. So what about for the ladies there, Liz?
Well, for the ladies, we're going to also wear the same kind of power suits. We're going to usually be monochromatic so that we've got that kind of same color, that same presence going on. We too are going to be wearing the expensive jewelry. We'll be wearing the diamonds, the emeralds, the gems, the pearls, anything that makes us look like a sign of success. And this is where you're going to look and see where the real watches are. For those that still are wearing watches, they're wearing the Rolexes, they're I'm trying to think of another huge high-end watch brand, and I can't think of it. You got Bulova out
there, you got Omega or Omega, as Bond said in his film. And you're spot on, Liz. No one looks at their wrist anymore. Well, I do. I have a little, nice little Iron Man watch here, just for the timer portion of that, primarily for video games and other things. But most folks are wearing watches now as signs of success. I mean, you're wearing a Rolex, not because you're looking down at it, because you're going to pull out your phone and look at the time. But those are signs of success. And so the Ds are going to be all about that, because that they've worked hard to get there. They want to show that off, kind of like with their office decor, with their degrees and all their awards and recognition. Same thing here with those Ds.
Yeah, and I would just kind of double down on that, saying, and they're going to be real gems. So we're not talking about the fake stuff, because that'll take us into the eyes.
That is messed up, Liz. But speaking of those crazy eyes, yes, we like the expressive, fun attire. We'll be wearing the flashy suits like the, hey, look at me kind of a deal. We like the fun ties and accessories. We like back in the early 90s, I used to wear a lot of Tabasco ties back when I had a little line of clothing. So I had my little peppers on there, and then my tie would match my cool little, Tabasco pepper socks, which was always fun. So when you're looking for those things, when it's casual Friday, the eyes are going to just cut loose and they're going to, wear all this crazy wild stuff. Anything that draws attention to themselves in a fun, fashionable kind of way.
That is exactly true. And that is where I also like to think about when you have the costume jewelry. Eyes love the costume jewelry. You get the big loud stuff. You get the stuff that maybe looks real, but it isn't real, because then you get more of it. So you just want to be different every single time you come out of the box. You don't want to have anybody guess what you're going to be wearing. So you just want to have that little bit of flair, and definitely bright color. And I think that's when I mentioned in one of the previous episodes, when I went to Hong Kong, I was a huge eye wearing all these bright colors, and I got over there and everyone was in black and gray, and it was like standing out. I mean, I was wearing yellows and oranges. I mean, it was scary. So I quickly toned down my wardrobe based on that style.
Yeah, that whole fuchsia thing wasn't working really well for you.
I look beautiful in it, but I scared people.
That's right. They're like, who is this person? And you really do. I mean, you have a little street cam and all this little black and, dark navy blue. And then here comes Liz with her little fuchsia thing. Kind of sticking out like a sore thumb there, Liz. But what? Yeah, but you made it back home. So that was good.
That's right. So tell me about the S's. You're an S, so tell me what you wear.
I do. So my I dominates my S in my attire most of the time, because those S's like comfort and concealment over flair. So when I talk about concealment, I'm not talking about like camouflage, but the camouflage in the business world is something that doesn't stand out. So very muted colors, earthy tones. They want to be the least noticeable person in the room. So very little jewelry, very little things that are going to spark a conversation from others. Oh, where'd you get those? Oh, no. They just want to mind their own business, do their work, and just leave them alone. Don't do a thing. So nothing controversial, very muted colors, functional things that make sense with what are they going to get done for the day, and I don't want to draw attention to myself.
And they will still be pretty flowing for the women. I mean, they like those earthy, easy to wear, very comfortable, kind of stretchy things. They're not all going to live in stretch wear, but they do like to feel very natural. You'll see a lot of times some of the S's don't even wear makeup. If you run across a woman that's not a big makeup wearer, sometimes they're just so comfortable with who they are and their natural styles that can be something that they might do too.
And then finally, the C's, all about that function. We talk about stereotypes from time to time, and some stereotypes are based in a hint of the truth. For example, you look at 80s movies back in the day, like Revenge of the Nerds and some of these other things. If you wanted an actor to play a geek or a nerd, the standard costume back then was thick glasses and a pocket protector on their short sleeve button-down shirt. So I've got things that come to my brain about that. The pocket protector had pins in it and other tools to, like a slide rule and whatnot to help the character accomplish his or her goals. It was functional, which is what they wanted to see. But in today's society, the term geek is lauded. I mean, people consider themselves, neat geeks, or, I use life hacks, created by these folks. And so even Best Buy's service team has geek in its name, and they are, they have a very, very positive brand image with that. It's a, tremendously popular brand. So today's C's aren't wearing pocket protectors. However, their normal way that they do things, they're not concerned with how people view them as other styles might be. But they are wearing clothes that don't get in the way of the execution of their daily tasks. In the business sector, they consider a suit to be a uniform of sorts. They'll consistently wear the same few outfits repeatedly because they don't need to try anything else if they have something that works, and that's a big point.
Well, and to just kind of bring it up to date on some of the TV shows, on The Big Bang Theory that a lot of people might be watching, Sheldon is like the biggest C ever. And in that environment, he is always wearing his comic book characters or his Star Wars or Star Trek, whichever one he happens to be on. And so even though to him, that's functional, that is, his personality coming through, and those are his icons that he associates with. So it's functional to him in his world because it must be a motivator.
He identifies with those people and that kind of thing. And so there are all kinds of subcultures, especially here in the U.S., that are very prevalent, and people identify with those folks. There's a board gaming culture. There's they call it Comic-Con, which is a big place where you go to get your Avengers and your DC characters on, your Black Panthers and your Green Lanterns and your Supermans. And so there is a fantasy subculture where people enjoy doing live action role playing games. They call them LARPers, LARP, and those folks dress up as wizards and knights and things like that. And so they identify with that. So when we pull that back though to the professional place, it's hard for a C to do that when they are in that environment. So they look for those opportunities outside to do that. So when you see them in a non-business setting, don't just say, "Oh God, man, that guy's dressed up like a crazy knight or a wizard from wherever." Then you're saying, "Oh, that's got to be an I." No, not necessarily, because remember, they are kind of restrained in that business environment to not be able to wear what they want to wear in terms of how they identify with from a personality perspective.
That is a very good point. So keeping it in mind, whether you're in business or in the social side, I think those are key points. So nice wrap up on that.
We tried our best. To summarize again, power suit, impressive accessories for those Ds, expressive, fun kinds of outfits / accessories for those Is, comfort over flair for those S's. They want to be comfortable all the time, very muted. They want to blend in, and all about the function. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's a C thing, and so they'll wear the same things kind of over and over and over and over, and they find a lot of comfort in that.
I think that's great, Alex. And I think that's one of the actions they ought to take this week is go out there and see if they can identify people by clothing. Don't you think that'd be kind of fun?
That'd be great. And then let us know what you found from your process. And again, like we've talked about in other episodes, you can't just use one of these tools to try and identify a style if you don't have an assessment in front of you. You've got to use all of them. You got to look at the vocal tones. You've got to look at their decor. They got to look at their attire. How did they send you that email? All those things play a part so that you've got a bigger picture of what's going on with them from a personality style standpoint, and then you can make more reaching assumptions after you've got that data in. And I can't believe I'm saying I need more data as a high I, but there you go. So before I have a personality disorder myself, I'm going to end the show. Thanks for joining us today. Liz, how can folks find you?
They can email me at liz@ltresults.com or visit my website at ltresults.com. How about you?
Awesome. They can certainly find me at thereportadvantage.com, but we're trying to get folks to head on over to our Facebook group and join us, and you can go to the Report Advantage podcast. Our Facebook group is over there. We've got about 60 some odd people right now and growing, so that's fun. We have questions of the day that come out. We have people that have discussions about everything from youth group to how does all this work with, scientists? Because they're pretty quiet. So we've got all kind of things that are going on. We'd love to have your feedback, and we're trying to build that community over there. So we'd love to have you be a part of it. On our next podcast, we'll dive into identifying more emotional intelligence issues that you find relevant. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Rapport Advantage podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Join the conversation on Facebook at The Rapport Advantage and follow us on Twitter at Rapport Podcast.